It is not Wednesday.
No, it's not.
I got
And
it right.
I get it mixed up. I'm getting it mixed up.
I got it right.
I'm
So
glad you got it right.
thank you guys for tuning in to the conversation. This is season 2, episode 9 with Chef Elle Simone. We are taping on Thursday because Wednesday just wasn't going to work out. So we're here on Thursday. We just couldn't get it together. So we're here on Thursday, which is fine. I'm happy. Are you happy?
You know what? I'm thrilled. This week is almost over.
It's the day before Friday.
I have not made one chocolate egg. I did not have time. But I'm okay about it. I did not promote it like I could have. I didn't have that kind of time.
You know what? I honestly feel like you have paid your chocolate egg dues and you're good. So
Thank you, darling.
You don't have to even do the whole chocolate egg situation right now. You've done enough, especially when you were doing those big eggs that I could hatch out of.
Right.
But when I was skinnier.
You did hatch out of one of our chocolate.
When I was littler, when I was skinnier, I could hatch out of one. Nowadays, girl, that's a big old heavy egg. So other than that, how's the week?
Tell me about your weekend. How was your weekend? I don't think we've even talked.
So my weekend, so I was sick on Saturday morning, and long story short, you have your regular restaurants for things for a reason. And there's just certain things that you just don't get from certain restaurants. Not that there's anything wrong with that restaurant. Certain things you just don't get from certain restaurants. So I know that, and I should have stuck to that. And so that's that on that. And then I had to do a sleepover with 7 and 8-year-olds.
That's right. You did.
Yeah. So my daughter wanted to have a sleepover with her friend for her birthday, her friend's birthday. And we don't do sleepovers. So I got to sleep over at the sleepover so that she could actually go and participate. So, yeah. And then I slept all day Sunday because that wore me out. They decided they were going to stay up until 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow. Can we talk about the vaccine for a quick second?
Yes. You got your second shot, right?
Yes, I got my second shot. And it felt like I got hit by a train.
I know. That's what I hear. I only got a 1 shot.
Well, yeah. And Sunday, I was down. Monday, I had to work, but I was moving very, very slow. And now, I don't know if you can see. It's better now. But all of this yesterday, it popped up yesterday. It was red splotches all over and very swollen. Mm-hmm. So I called a friend who is a nurse, specialty nurse, and I said, "What is this? Am I going to be okay?" She goes, this is the side effects for some people. Mm-hmm. And she told me take some Tylenol or off-brand Tylenol and go to sleep. You need to rest. People, if you're going to do this, I can't drink Gatorade. It makes me sick. But if you're going to take the second dosage, get your electrolytes up, drink plenty of water, drink Gatorade if you can, or whichever, Pedialyte, whatever you can do. I couldn't do it. So I had to suffer through it. But do get as much of energy as you possibly can and take 3 days off if you can after. She told me there were nurses that had these side effects. They took 4 days off after they got the second dosage. This need to be announced out to people, what you have to do, what you can do. I remember you said you took the Johnson & Johnson. I didn't hear from you for 2 days?
Right, because I slept. After I got it done, I was resting for the whole day, but I did all of this. I'm a psycho. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm a weird research on the computer, reading all of the things psycho. So beforehand, I took emergency and ibuprofen the day before, and then the morning before I went and did it, I took some more emergency, and then I took my ibuprofen before I left, and then when I came home, I drank another emergency. So I was loading myself up with vitamin C. And then also, I did notice that I got a little dehydrated because I was having hot flashes. So I put my humidifier on and I really kicked up my water. So I just think that It's everybody know it's like getting the flu shot. I did the same kind of thing when I got the flu shot. Like I didn't get the flu, but I
And see,
still
I've never in my entire life ever had a flu shot ever.
yeah. So the
So
same thing with the
that's
flu shot.
different for me.
Yep.
When I spoke with Anna last night, she did recommend not ibuprofen. She totally recommends Tylenol or the off-brand for that. It just kind of takes down the swelling, removes any kind of fever, all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
I've definitely
think people have to practice just a little bit more self-care when you
Yeah.
get even with flu. I've gotten the flu shot, pneumonia vaccine, same thing. Any of
Right.
those vaccines, you just gotta like treat yourself a little bit more gently because your immune system is kind of put into like a little bit of an overdrive and you're just trying to like get everything over. So other than that though, you know, I still feel like a crazy person, but like I'm not, every time someone coughs, I don't feel like I'm watching Outbreak.
Right.
You know, in the beginning of Outbreak where then people are coughing and then the germs are flying and then you're like, oh my God, it's on my mask.
But we do still recommend wearing your mask.
I'm wearing my mask. I'm just
Wear
saying
your mask.
every time someone coughs, it's not like they're public cursing. Like I'm like, coughing, I gotta go. So anyways, so are you excited about our guest this week? I am.
I am.
I Facebook stalked her forever. Then she became my Facebook, Instagram mentor and best friend. She doesn't know that. Like most of our guests, I Facebook stalk them and then we become besties in my head.
Stalking.
I am.
I worry sometimes, but it's okay.
I'm not going to show up at her house or anything weird, but I definitely
not until we get our RV. Right? We're gonna get everybody
outside. So let's bring in Chef Elle Simone.
Woo! Welcome.
Hi, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, surviving, maintaining, but overall, you know, good. I don't have one complaint. Feeling super gratuitous about life right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So before we get into our little chat, do you want to just toot your own horn for a little bit? Because as women, you know, we don't do that, but we have to start getting comfortable, especially as Black women.
Why I toot?
Go ahead, girl.
I'm not one of those untutors. I toot.
Yes, the floor is yours. Toot away.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start with just the general information. I'm from Detroit. Right. And I spent a lot of years in New York, which is where my culinary training happened. And then I ended up maybe 10 years later, almost coming to Boston to work for America's Test Kitchen, where I am TV talent. First Black woman to be on the show, which is a really big deal. I currently am the host of a podcast called The Walk-In. Which is a series of conversations with people in the industry about life, you know, and some food, but mostly about life, and where you get insightful information from them that they have never given to any other outlet. So you're gonna learn something new, even if it's somebody you think you know everything about. You're gonna learn you don't. They got stuff too, you know. And let's see what else. I'm the founder of She Chef Incorporated, which is a professional networking org for women chefs of color.
Follow them on
Instagram. Yeah, follow us on Instagram at She Chef Inc. I'll tell you a little bit more about like life with She Chef. You know, like I think we're gonna really get into some real deep conversations, and I want to talk about like burnout and self-care and stepping back and not subscribing to the idea that you have to be following what's going on in social media world, because that's not a real world. Like I need people to know that's not a real space. Hey Cassandra, we got people here in the room. I love it. So yeah, you know, I know we'll talk about that. So I'll reserve that for later. But that's who I am and what I do. I really love being in media. I never wanted to be in television, but it's something that fell in my lap and I just accepted it. I too am a very big fan of both you, Chef Shanita, and also you, Chef Erica. You are definitely one of my inspirations in the culinary industry. Seeing you, you know, on television, doing your thing, representing us has always been an inspiration to me. And I wondered if our paths would ever cross. I have tried. Trust me, I've tried. So I'm glad it finally happened, and I'm glad we're getting to spend some time here together. Shanita, you've always supported me and She Chef from the very beginning. That's why I'm here today, because if anything you ever asked me to do, I'm going to do it.
Yay, thank you.
And thank you for having me here in the conversation.
I know, right? So let's just start with Test Kitchen. Like, what did that feel like? Because I know what I felt like at 17, going to Johnson County Community College and interviewing and like trying to convince them to let me into their culinary program as a high school senior. Like, I can do this. So what did that? And the first day I was like, maybe I can do this.
Very similar. No, very similar. When I came to America's Test Kitchen, I had already kind of been working in media. Like I was producing cooking shows. I was food styling. I was doing a lot of behind the camera scenes. I had already been the culinary producer for Roble & Co. I had done a couple of specials for the cooking channel. And so I was familiar with the behind the camera work. So I knew. First, let me just say, it was my friend Cliff. He goes by Culinary Cliff in the social media world. He saw a posting on Facebook for like a casting call, and he tagged me in it. So it was actually, we have Cliff to thank for me getting this job, right? Yes. Just looking out like, hey, you fit all of these descriptions. You should apply for this. And it was kind of blind, so I didn't really know what I was getting into. And the auditions were blind also, so I didn't know what I was applying for at all. So, when I found out it was America's Test Kitchen, in all honesty, I was familiar with the name, the brand, but I didn't watch it very much. It was it's a very white show, and Cliff Hunt, yes, Cliff Hunt to get over here. So I was familiar with it, but I wasn't deeply invested. I hadn't watched it, and I interned at the Food Network, and I grew up under Food Network, so that's what I knew. So when I went in for the audition, when they flew me out to Boston, and I knew what they wanted to see, because I've been in production. I know how to, put on the glitz and the glam. And I just did that. Like, I was also at that time at a point where I was kind of ready to leave New York. Like I was ending a very long-term serious relationship. Kids were kind of getting a little rowdy on the train. It was just like all of the things were just becoming bigger than they ever were at the time. And I was just like,
it's like when you're in a relationship and they're chewing, you're like, oh, that chewing annoys me. Then you're like, maybe I don't need to be here anymore, because really, who pays attention to how someone chews?
Exactly. Yeah. It was the same thing. It's like all the things were just magnified, and it was like, I don't hate it here, but I think I'm just ready to move on. And my aunt, who lived in New York, she moved to California when I moved to New York. She said, you're going to outgrow it. You might not believe it right now, but you will. And that was just what was happening for me. And so the universe just cracked wide open and gave me the opportunity to do something different,
Thank you, universe.
Thank you. Yeah, so much gratitude to the universe. I've always, honestly, I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm kind of lucky by nature, right? We're a lucky sign, so I've always had these very serendipitous things happen to me.
Right.
I ain't gonna take any credit for it. It's the universe always opening up for me, and so I went there. I did I knew what they wanted to see and how they wanted to do. And I had to do a bench test. So I had to cook their recipe. So I was nervous, but as fate would have it, I used to, when I was food styling for seafood media in New York, they would bring on lots of freelancers. And there was a young woman there named Annie Petito. And Annie and I became friends. And then she moved out of New York, and we mildly kept in touch, but she's the kind of person where, and so am I. Like, if we're friends, if we don't talk for 5 years, we still friends. Right? It doesn't matter.
Like, so I don't have to talk to you every single day to prove my friendship. Once we love each other, we love each other, and that could be once a year.
That's right. That's right. So she ended up, I didn't even know that she was at America's Test Kitchen, but she was. And so while I was doing my cooking test, my bench test, she was working right across from me, and it brought me so much comfort and just like so much ease. It made my experience extremely nice. And then that was it. I knew they were interviewing other people. So I just kind of waited, to see if I would get the call. I was working with a casting agent. Shout out to Thalia DaCosta, who's also in New York. and it kind of panned out for me. I was definitely nervous, but like at that point I was like, I'm tired of hustling. I was freelancing and I was like, I'm reaching my 40s. I don't have it in me to hustle another lull. You hear me? I ain't got it.
Right.
I can't do it. And
I'm
so
like, I am, my toes are on the water. Like, no, I'm borderline.
Yeah, it just gets harder, but it as fate would have it, again, I had been misdiagnosed for ovarian cancer by a doctor in New York. I didn't know that I had it until I saw the doctors here in Boston. So I do believe it was God in the universe really leading me to a place that would save my life.
Right.
Yeah.
But you keep saying the universe, and I tell people that all the time. I was like, the universe has your best interest at heart, but you have to be open to like receive all that goodness. And sometimes we're like our own worst enemy. Like it's like we're working against our best interest with our mind and with like the things that we say. So it's like,
you know what though, Chef, let me tell you though, you don't really have to comply with the universe. The universe is going to do what it's going to do regardless, right? Because even though it was kind of time for me to go, I was dragging my feet.
mm-hmm.
Right. And sometimes the universe is going to just give you exactly what you don't want to remind you that a change is going to come. Whether like you what they say, I say this to the kids all the time, catch up, mustard.
Right.
If you don't catch up, it's going to still keep rolling, and if you are too distracted, you can miss the opportunity of a lifetime.
Right.
Because it's going to happen and it will skip over you and go to the next ready chef. It will.
It will.
But the funny part is when you realize, like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Those kind of moments. And then you have to pick yourself and say, hey, I'm not going to miss it again.
I know that's right.
Well, because it also has a way of making you, if you didn't get, it was like, oh, you didn't catch that lesson the first time. Okay, well, I'm going to put a mustache on it and send it right back your way. You're going to catch it this time? Or am I going to have to put a mustache and a hat on it the next time? Like, learning that it's going to keep presenting that lesson to you until
you hope though, like there's also no guarantee, like like spirit, universe, God, whatever you believe in, is also a very embodies emotions. And if you take that for granted, if you just assume that it is your birthright to have opportunities, they will feel that and be like, oh, you don't own anything around here. Like we call the shots. You are the recipient, so you can put yourself in a position to like not get nothing, like not get nothing. Exactly. And that's not the side of the fence you want to be on.
So when you were on Test Kitchen, I don't know that people like understood the significance of the blue hair and the blue chef coat, or they just thought, oh, she's so edgy and cutting edge. Like, why is everyone else has on a white chef coat, but she has on a blue coat? Or people are like, oh, why she gotta be extra? It's the only black girl and she can't wear a white coat like everybody else. So
well, here's the thing. I didn't have a say in that. The only thing I do have control over is my hair, honestly. Like, and even then they're kind of like, can you go deeper blue? So like what we wear is not really even in my control. Our chef coats colors change all the time. Like now I don't even wear the light blue coat. Now our coats are navy blue. And this season that's airing right now, we filmed at home due to COVID. So I have on a blouse and an apron, and even then I have to get, those things have to be approved. So I don't really, only my hair. If you see something going on with my hair, crazy or otherwise, that is my call. But everything else, that's the network. The company chooses those. I don't have a say.
Right. So how was that, as in because of COVID, being at home and filming your shows, and was it a comfort to you? Was it a little stressful? Did you realize that, hey, I figured out some better things throughout the kitchen, working from home? Tell us.
It was a little bit of both, honestly. It was a little comforting because the world was haywire and, like it was at the height of COVID, right? And so a lot of people were still very sick and dying. So we had to figure out how to do it. And before I even get too far into that, I do want to say, because I'm talent now and not on the production end, I really didn't have a whole lot of struggle, right? The struggle came for our production team,
Right.
who had to figure out how to transition this in-studio show to a home show that also didn't include all the cast in the same way that it normally does. Because, right, it's usually myself and Bridget Lancaster or Julia Collins Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to each other, cooking, but that couldn't be the case, right? And we also decided like split screen cooking just is a little odd, right? So we're not going to do that. So we had to think about like, could we at least have 2 camera people in my house, and they had to get COVID tested, and we still were keeping distance, and they had on masks, and then changing our scripts to where we no longer are conversational, but now I'm speaking directly to camera, which also was strange because I haven't done that ever on this show, So there were a lot of new things that were exciting, but there were also a lot of nuances that were frustrating and challenging for the production team. I had to like deep clean my kitchen in a way that I don't think it had ever experienced. So it took me a month.
Because that's when you look at all those little things, you're like, oh,
everything.
I can't put that there, or
yeah,
oh, they're not a sponsor, can't have that there, and you're like in there moving things and taping things and doing all of those.
It took a month. It took a month for me just to get the kitchen ready, like clean to the standard of like little speck here. I want that, It was a lot of work to prepare, and it definitely gave me a deeper appreciation for like what the entire production entails in the studio, because we do it way bigger than that, and we do it in like 4 weeks. We filmed like 20 something episodes in 4 weeks.
Wow.
So it did give me a great appreciation. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot. But then did you feel that was also like letting people in, right? Because you're like, this is my space.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody's like,
yeah. Well, I did enjoy cooking to camera by myself. I did enjoy it. I mean, admittedly, I'm like, all right, maybe I could do this, like maybe I could do it and really like that,
Right.
But I don't know, we'll see what the audience says. So far, we've been getting really good feedback about ATK at home is what we've been calling it. And people have been really receptive. My mom cooked with me. She made waffles with me on the show, and that was really fun. It was nice. It had its nice part.
It was more intimate.
Definitely more intimate, for sure.
So maybe like once people really get to see all the shows that you've just put out, you never know what might come out of this, as in being so intimate and then being more familiar, your one-on-one. Really, people, I just noticed that through all this it's not a little experience, but this experience of COVID, us all being at home to a certain degree, people were dying to connect.
Yes.
They could not. So now, even though things have opened back up, they're still dying to connect. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your results are also with.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to see. But I also think that our whole ATK's whole structure is really based on the home cook. So like our business model, like our business skyrocketed. Like we have had better business in the year of COVID than we've had in a very long time. It was a really good year for us. And so I think, like it's great to be cooking in the studio. That's really nice and it's easy and it's polished, but I definitely think it speaks more to our actual customers
when you're at home.
Like
it resonates with them.
Yeah, I got so many texts, like DMs about they love the color of my kitchen walls and
awesome.
But the flowers I keep, like that's a real thing. I do keep flowers in my kitchen all the time, But like lots of people really resonated with the home cooking. So I hope not for nothing. I am going to do a video series. I probably will do like YouTube video series. I kind of have to, so that will happen. So that might be my like cook alone opportunity. So we'll see, we'll see what they decide to do with it.
I know Shanita has like 10,000 questions.
Come to the tip of my
This one is over this time of COVID, the one recipe or one dish that you got sick of seeing. or hearing about, or for me there were so many sourdoughs out there. People were making so much sourdough.
Yes,
I was like, you
sourdough
cannot eat that
starters.
much bread.
Yeah.
What would it be for you?
You know what? It wasn't one particular thing, but I think I was a little over what, how like TikTok will pick up a trend and then everybody like in the world will make it. I was annoyed by like TikTok trends. I'm like, I don't care if I never see the TikTok bowl again or the,
right.
because they would just run it into the ground.
And I'm not making that feta pasta. I don't care how good y'all say it is. No, I'm not doing it.
With the tomatoes, roasting the tomatoes in the feta, like, you don't have to roast it. You really could just eat it just like that. Like this is just extra. But, God bless the TikTokers, far be it from me to,
right.
I love them. I love them.
So while we're talking about TikTok trends, I want to talk about something that bothers me.
Okay.
Styling. So I don't know why I always run down the rabbit trail of like food movies.
Yes.
Or movies where people are cooking or baking something. And I always see them doing something where I'm like,
if you're talking about mostly the Hallmark movies,
yeah,
they have these cooking movies, but they're not on point.
Okay.
It's so not on point that it's like
I can relate. So I don't know if y'all remember, this was some time ago, but on Instagram, one night I was watching Why Did I Get Married or something? Isn't that the movie when they all go on the retreat, all the couples go, right? And Janet Jackson is in it, and she's married to Malik Yoba.
Yes.
And so they're in the kitchen. They're in the kitchen having this very like emotional moment where she's like really coming to grips with the fact that her infant child has died, and she's in the kitchen like trying to just be about business as usual, and she has a knife and she's cutting asparagus, but like first of all she's cutting the heads off of the stalks, right?
Yes.
And so I was just laying on my couch laughing watching it, and I recorded it on my IG stories, and I was like, Janet, what is you doing? You're cutting the wrong part of the asparagus, girl. Like it's a little thing to the people to Tyler Perry. Clearly, right. It's small to him, but as a food stylist and a chef, it's huge to me. I'm like, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna make asparagus part of the
someone
cast,
have Googled how do you properly cut asparagus? Because that's not it, sis. Or when they're baking cookies, right? And you're like, there's a whole piece of flour. Like, why is there a whole piece of flour on your face? Like,
how did it get there?
What kind of cookies are you making?
How did it get there? Are you dancing with this batter?
Or me, there's have you seen the movie with Katherine Heigl and Josh Duhamel? They somehow end up with their friend's baby, and he's the husband's friend and she's the wife's friend, and they both have like joint custody, whatever.
Right.
She has a restaurant. She's supposed to be this like renowned chef in San Francisco, and they show her making a pasta where she's supposed to be dicing up bell peppers, and then she's using a paring knife, and then like grinds my gears every time I watch the movie. I'm like, why is she dicing that green pepper with a paring knife?
That's a big thing though. Like if you're gonna have someone playing an executive chef, right? Like you got to do better than that. That's different from Janet cutting the heads off the asparagus, because like maybe a home cook would, like somebody, a novice would do that at home. Like that's not so crazy for a home cook. But you got homegirl being an executive chef and she's using a paring knife. You could have stunt doubled that, or just not shown it at all.
Exactly. That part. So that's why I love but I'm gonna tell y'all, this is me talking about my Korean dramas again. Now, have you ever seen the food styling on a Korean movie?
I've never seen a Korean movie a day in my life.
Girl, they get it right. They get it right.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, okay, that's a little dramatic. However, that actually looks like something that would happen in a restaurant.
I believe that.
I mean, a little over the top.
Korean food culture is a serious thing. Like they don't play around. They don't, not even just for like, even their fake food looks like good food.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
let me just throw this comment out, because I'm still reading off the other screen. One of our chefs, she said they need to pay more chefs to consult on some of these productions. They don't recognize how much chefs can do.
That's right. And shout out to Judith Cage, who I saw pop into the room and say hello. Hey, Chef Judith.
We
Yeah,
love Chef
Judy's
Judy.
awesome.
Me and Chef Judy been clowning on the. I need to. If you're watching, Judy, did you get your leggings yet? Let me know, sis. Let me know.
I love Judy. She's
with
been
those
down.
new
She's been
leggings
down
that's
since day
showing
one.
all through Facebook that pop, make your booty pop.
Hey,
is that the one?
Okay. So I did order the TikTok leggings. I did order
Did
them. And when
you?
because I have no booty, so I need every little bit of help I can get.
Listen, I've been Craig. Shout out to Craig, Intentional Living, virtual workouts. I'll drop his booty workout on here, y'all. He be doing virtual booty workouts, $10. Get on Zoom with him.
Is it working?
Girl, these hammies, I'm
But,
like,
hold on. She had a booty already, though.
but when we're done, y'all, don't say nothing to me because I'm going to be a whole fool. I'm going to think about every lunge, every squat.
If you already had a booty, I don't think you really can relate.
She is very blessed. I'll say that. She is blessed. I have no booty. I have boobs. I don't have a booty.
Me too.
You know?
Well, don't be greedy because that's what somebody told me. I can't have boobs and a butt.
I don't know that I would need to have it all because I would not be humble.
And I said that too. I said the Holy Spirit knew what he was doing because I would be a whole fool. If I had boobs and a butt, y'all couldn't tell me nothing. Okay.
Yeah. When the guys try to tell me something about my butt, you know what I say? I make my own money though.
Hey, pop, 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 pop.
Okay.
And mic drop there. Okay, so let's talk about the ovarian cancer. I know that you've advocated and you kind of touched on it when you first got to Boston. You found out about it, and then you just got through with treatment again. So, were you taping this last season and doing treatment, or did it all end? Oh my gosh.
I had a reoccurrence in the end of May. Well, I found out at the end of May. I knew something was going on. I just didn't know what it was. But because I also had endometriosis, but I had a reoccurrence. They think was a remnant from my first diagnosis because little cells can, and because I had so much endometriosis, it could have been lodged up in there. And so it was small. I had surgery. I had a full hysterectomy. The tumor was removed. I do have hair under here, just in case anyone's wondering. It just ain't proper today.
It's COVID.
My
daughter always checks me. She's like, "Are you gonna get on Zoom like that? Where are your pants? They cannot see."
I'm shabby chic all the time,
okay?
And I feel like it's a panoramic outside. There are no rules. So yeah, I was filming during chemo. I started chemo in June. We filmed, I think, in July, and it was challenging, but I got through it. I also recorded the whole first season of the walk-in while I was going through chemo, and then I started radiation in January, early January. I did 25 rounds of radiation, basically 5 straight weeks, 5 days a week for 5 weeks.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, I do want to like make people aware of some of the symptoms. You have there's bloating, like constant bloating, consistent bloating, stomach that never goes down. Like if you work out and your stomach never goes down, that's something you should check out. Loss of appetite or decreased appetite, pelvic pain, lower back pain that might feel like a sciatic pain. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing a couple, but those are kind of frequent urination is definitely one. And you don't necessarily have all of these symptoms either consecutively or consistently. Like I remember the first time I experienced a frequent urination, I was driving from New York to Detroit. Before I could get to the state of New Jersey, I had to stop at the bathroom 5 times, but that was the only time that ever happened. Right. So like, it doesn't necessarily have to happen every day, all day. It can be something that happens one time. Right. So, just be mindful. You cannot detect it. You can't see it in a pap smear. It's only something that can be done through MRI. So I do recommend getting second, third, fourth opinions if you feel like something's not right with your body. You do sometimes experience fatigue with it,
I have endometriosis. It kind of rocked my world. Completely flipped it upside down. But with the cancer and the endometriosis, does it show like completely different kind of symptoms, or was it?
No, Actually, the symptoms, the reason why ovarian cancer is so problematic, and by problematic, I mean usually staged very late. This is also the reason the mortality rate for ovarian cancer is high, is because most people don't know that they have it until they're already late stage, because the symptoms mimic irritable bowel syndrome. If you have endometriosis, sometimes the symptoms can be the same, so like, if you have any type of gynecological issues, like those are always worth checking on regularly and pushing for more tests. Like, whether there was never been any ovarian cancer in my family that I know of, as far as back as my great grandmother, I've never known of anyone to have ovarian cancer in my family. So a lot of times it's genetic and people don't know. But if you feel like something's wrong, or you're getting a diagnosis and a treatment that doesn't actually give you any relief, then keep pushing for answers. Like, don't stop.
Right.
This is why healthcare is something that we have to figure out in this country, because there are people who are getting sick and very sick for just because it wasn't detected early enough. Like, if they had been able to get some early detection, or if the cost of healthcare wasn't such a major concern for them, they could probably have made a different decision.
Sure.
But also, especially in our industry, there's a lot of people that don't have health insurance. They can't afford it. Or, regardless if it's mandatory in whichever state, it's not necessarily that they're going to get it. You know what I mean? And if you're working for a small business, they can't afford to help you to get health care. But I was very blessed to work for quite a few corporations or large hotels at that time, to have healthcare throughout my career, or live in a country, in a Caribbean country, where it's United Healthcare. It's everyone has healthcare, but not so much here in the United States and with this industry.
Well, I will say that if for any reason someone thinks that they might have cancer and they don't feel like they're getting the attention or being heard, you can always reach out to the American Cancer Society. There are resources. There's also the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, for which I'm a volunteer and a member in Massachusetts. They're almost in every state. So there, if you are even, if anyone listening is even thinking that cancer might be a thing, if it runs in your family and you just want to be sure, reach out to the American Cancer Society. They do have resources. There are organizations out there that support people.
Right. That's the thing people have to know. You have to check on it. But I can't believe, Pat, shout out to you, because that's a lot. If you're cooking at home, we're in a whole panini. People are killing Black people in video and putting it on video every single day.
Yeah.
The food industry has gone to hell in a motherfucking handbasket, just all in a month.
It's a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. It still is, it still is a lot. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how or why I'm necessarily so driven in that way. Like, I do enjoy my work, and that has a lot to do with it. And I feel like my work is impactful. Like, there are people who are going through all the things I'm going through and then some, who need to see someone being able to keep pushing through, and not like, and I'm not advocating like, if whether you feel good or not, keep pushing. I did everything that I felt like I could do. And when I felt like I couldn't do, someone would tell me to sit my ass down or lay down or take a nap, and I would, but like, for whenever I felt good, because at the end of the day, life is not promised. You don't know how many days you have left. And if I have the little power in my body to just live, I want to do that. I want to do as much of that as possible.
That absolutely. So I know you probably get this question a lot. Like, everybody wants to know, what do you think about the restaurant industry? What are we going to do? Because, I mean, we've all been in it for a long time. So we knew that the system was broken.
Yeah.
And really, for so many years, you're just operating in a broken system as best you possibly can.
This is true.
But now, I know that post this panoramic, we are not going to be able to just duct tape the door up with some hot glue and duct tape and pretend like it's not falling off its hinges. Like, there is no door to tape up no more.
Oh, they will try, some will do that. Some will duct tape the door and keep pushing. But I don't know what the restaurant industry is going to be giving it. I hope that people become a little bit more humanistic, and like, have more care or concern for the people who work for them. But interestingly enough, I just wrote a piece for the James Beard Foundation blog about
Yes.
3 chefs who have adapted the community business model for their restaurants, and they're all friends. I have not had the pleasure of going to Chef Christy Brown's communion in Seattle yet, but I know Christy very well, and I know that she's a very people-centric person. So it's no surprise to me that she would adopt that model. Sabrina Brockman in Brooklyn at Grand Champs. I have been to that restaurant. I used to live right around the corner from it. I watched them open their doors, and I've been a part of their community, so I know that they really lean into their community and vice versa, right?
Right.
And we, of course, we know that Omar Tate is getting ready to do some fantastic things with his wife, Sybil St. Tate, and that Honeysuckle Project is about the people. Omar is about the people. So, they gave some really good insight and not just like reasons, but process behind running community-based businesses, and it works, and I personally think that it's a model that a lot of people should lean into. I mean, it's what Black people have been doing all along. You know what I'm saying? Like, of the diaspora, that's what we do.
And that's what people don't understand. If you're wanting to get the Black and brown communities thriving again, then these community-based businesses is what, in our grandparents' era, is what caused their communities to thrive, is because they were in there. And if you had a store next to the dry cleaner and she needed to go get whatever, you would run over to her store and
that's right. Speaking of running, so Erica had to go get her
quiche
out the oven. Yeah.
So
it's true.
I think that community-based is going to be the way to go. I also feel like that I don't know how the consumer is going to come back with the same expectation after everything that they've seen. Like, it's like we've been exposed a little bit. And so I'm hoping that they have different expectations of us as food professionals now. Like, we can't make $1 out of 15 cents anymore, you guys. Now you see what all this entails.
Well, I think that the consumer has actually, I think they have changed a little also. I agree with you on that. I think that, because let's be honest, the quality of food that we've been getting during COVID from restaurants has not been the best, because not all food is made for carry out, right? Like some, and not that like some food should just be carry out, but some foods hold better.
No, we talked to Steve
over time
last season, and he was like, "No, we don't do carry out because our food just doesn't carry out."
I mean, but some people have been doing it because they need to keep their doors open, right? So whether their food is actually like carry outable or not, they've been doing it, and the people have still been supporting, so I feel like if we change the model of the restaurant when they come to it, right? If the prices are a little higher, or if we eliminate the tipping system and kind of add another percentage on to make sure that the people are getting paid more money, I think they're going to be more they're going to tolerate it more, right? Everything will be more tolerable, because also they'll just be more grateful to be back out in the world.
Right.
At this point, I would pay anything to be able to sit in a restaurant and eat with my friends. Like, I just don't even care anymore.
And like I said earlier, not have that outbreak reaction of somebody like across the room coughs, where you're like, oh, where's the mask? I gotta go. So I definitely agree, and I just hope too that as industry professionals that we look at the people, and we really kind of look at what we demand of our staff, and how it affects their lifestyle, physically, mentally, and all of that.
Yeah, and that stuff is
This
so
time to take
antiquated anyway.
Yes, and
It's
take a little
old.
bit more care for
Mm-hmm.
people. Like it's not we shouldn't be expecting people to have to choose between Friday night dinner service and their mother's birthday party. Like
Yeah,
that
no.
should not even be that's a no-brainer. It shouldn't even
Mm-hmm.
be something where someone has to agonize over like, going to the chef and asking for that Friday off because this is their mom's, 60th birthday or 50th or whatever birthday. They should be okay with
Yeah,
making those
absolutely. I
people.
mean, and even carrying deeper, like at Grand Champs, Sabrina and Sean pay for therapy for their employees, like during, and also got them some like legal aid / education because they were getting stopped by police a lot when they were walking to and from work. Like that's how you invest in your employees, so that like if one of them does have to give up their mom's birthday so that the other one can go to their child's birthday, like, they're going to feel like a family, and they'll be like, I can make a sacrifice this one time. Like I can make birthday dinner instead of birthday brunch,
Right.
but you got to show that you care, like we all have to make sacrifices for work. That's just this part of you can't get around that, but like, for what am I sacrificing? Like that's the question at the end of the day, and so when people, just like when people see me working while I'm going through treatment, it's like, yeah, but I didn't have to do any work at all. Like no one even thought to bother me while I was home healing during certain times of the day. Like I was doing the minimum amount of work really while I was going through treatment. TV was the biggest thing I had to do. And so when I'm thinking about what kind of sacrifices I'm making, I'm thinking about the kind of support that I got at my job. Because they could have just gave me FMLA and been like, we'll see you when you get back.
Right.
But they did stuff like, when I first got diagnosed, they arranged rides for me to go to chemo. They brought food for my entire family the whole time they were visiting me while I was sick. Like it's a give and take. Work is a relationship, just like,
Yes.
any other kind of relationship. And if you want people to sacrifice a little for you, you have to sacrifice a little for them. And if you want a lot from them, you got to give them a lot. And that's how the cookie crumbles. That's any business.
Yeah.
Every corporate, every structure, corporate or nonprofit or whatever, if you haven't learned from COVID how you should be treating your people, then you need to stay your ass in COVID till you figure it out.
Right. And like I keep telling people 2020 was the clearing. And I joke a lot like 2021 is 2020 with a cheap wig on. She just ran out and slapped on a wig and came right back in.
Okay.
But this year she's exposing people, and she's on a whole new type of situation. She's like, I gave y'all all the last year to get your shit together. Like if you haven't gotten it together, then there's no more chances. I'm just gonna expose you, and
That's the universe. No more chances.
it's
No
gonna
more
be what
chances.
it
That's
is.
it. Mm-hmm.
So you are the culinary Oprah. That's what we're calling it.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so you started She Chef how many years ago? Why? What was your motivation behind that?
In 2013, I started She Chef, and it was mostly just because when I left culinary school and got into the workforce, I went to culinary school with all Black and brown people in New York, in Manhattan. And
That's
then
awesome.
it was really great.
Everybody.
Except they didn't stay there. There was no retention. I would get into the industry and in the workforce and not see them.
Right.
And, unless they were like porters or dishwashers. And of course, we need the porters and the dishwashers, but like if you had culinary training, that I'm sure that was not your aspiration, right? I'm sure you wanted to be cooking. And I just didn't see them there. And I was curious, because I'm a former social worker. So I was curious as to where the people then, right? I want to know where they are, why they're not still here, and I just kind of started researching that and reaching out, and we would just when Meetup.com was famous, we just started doing like Meetup.com things, and I would post it on Facebook, like, "Hey, we're here, we're having a good time," and I was like, "I'm gonna call it She Chef," and then people started reaching out, like, "How can I become a She Chef, and what is she?" And I'm like, "Well, if you believe in it, you are one, like that," and then for a minute, I was doing like paid membership structures, but then I was like, you know what? It's very difficult as a solopreneur to fulfill the needs of people who have such a vast amount of needs. Like every Black woman chef's need is not the same, you know. And I just, with good conscience, couldn't like continue to take money and then give cookie cutter results, right? Because it's not what we need. And so I just dismantled that. And like, you know, while She Chef is still very much alive and well, I just make it my business to really kind of like the famous word pivot or adjust to the needs of women of color in the industry, because they change every year. What we needed in 2013 is not what we need now. In 2013, we needed more of us. Now there's a lot of us. There could still be more of us, but like now we have a really good presence. You know what I'm saying? And like we've had to fight very hard to get respect for our cuisine, Black American, you know, other Black and brown people of the diaspora. We fought very hard, and we still haven't won that fight, but like we are on the playing field, you know. Yes. And so I have to every year reassess what the needs are for us. And, you know, sometimes I want to quit that, you know. I think when I decided to discontinue the paid model, I was also going through a burnout, and I was like, I can't continue to move in the way that I've been moving, you know, like something has to change. And so I took a break. I pretty much took all of 2018, 2019, I think like a two-year hiatus. I'm really just now kind of like getting my feet back in the pool, you know. And fortunately, there are people still here who really have an appreciation for She Chef. And, you know, I'm always looking to just elevate the women. Really, that's all it's about for me. You know, like I ain't going to say I don't need money to elevate the women, because I do. People listening, universe listening, I do need the money to do it. But it's not
the driving force.
It's not the driving force, and it doesn't take one single penny to elevate women. You know, it doesn't take not a red cent. And so as long as I'm continuing to do that, whether I'm doing something that's either generating revenue or creating revenue, the mission is still happening, and I'm perfectly happy with that. You know, although we are doing some big things, we have some future partnerships coming up that are very exciting. In May, on May 18th, we're doing She Cuts Meat Camp. Ooh. Meat Camp is happening, yes, with Nyman Ranch. They're partnering with us for Meat Camp. So you'll see some of that in the social media world. We're going to actually start promoting April 5th, April 6th. So after this week, you'll start to see some promos popping out. So yeah, super excited about that.
Nice. And other than that, I mean, so what do you think? You're coming back, you're kind of re-emerging in 2021. So outside of just the camps, and I did the little cook along with Zoe, that was great. Just kind of having like a chat, and you know, sometimes you just want to see what other people are doing. Yeah, just hear from them.
There'll be more of that. There'll be definitely more conversations happening with women in the industry. We're going to keep that vibe going. It was a part of our official digital series, but we're only doing that for 6 months. And then, you know, we're going to keep conversations going. We're about to host an Instagram takeover for about probably like 8 women chefs. So for the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be having some IG takeovers. So and we're going to post the link in our link tree. So if anyone wants to sign up to do one, we're opening up the platform to anybody who wants to take over and show us their world, you know.
That's nice.
Yeah. So it's just amplifying the voices. Like that's really it.
Really all it is. Like a couple of weeks ago, we were talking with Teresa Nelson. We always have our little after talk, because there's some things we can't say on Facebook. Like
the after talks are like the even most better.
Right.
So
we were talking
that was our pre-talk.
Yes, we were really talking about how are we, you know, feeling burnt out. Like, I'm just tired of having to have all these different conversations about race, and can you believe this, and can you believe that? And I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know, certain people are just going to do what certain people are going to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the bandwidth anymore after everything that I went through last year with just all of that to continue to police that. Mm-hmm. But where I'm at now is holding the people accountable in my community who are in the position, right? Like people like you and Adrian and other people like that. You're in the room and you're at the table. And are you being a good steward of that opportunity. The other people are going to do and be what the other people are going to do and be. I cannot control them anymore. But I think as, Black and brown people, we have to work on working amongst ourselves. That's all.
I totally agree. I don't disagree with that one little bit. I was telling somebody the other day, I was interviewing with goodfoodjobs.com, and I was telling the interviewer that I am not an integrationist. I believe in segregation. I mean, and it's not like I don't have non-POC friends. I have lots of non-POC friends, but I am pro Black community, Black ownership, like I'm pro Black Wall Street, like I love the thought of having our own Black people on the money, like that's real to me, like I that's what I want, and not that I don't think that we can occupy space in other communities, but like when we do, it's so many challenges behind it. I would rather just
it seems to come at the detriment of our own community.
Always.
How come I can't do both? How come I can't do something over here and still be in and supporting my community? Why, if I'm doing something over here, does it have to come at the detriment of, of my own community?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the challenge is that because you have access, right? Because everyone can't have a foot on both sides of the fence, right? Like that's, and it's not fair, but it, like everybody doesn't know how to code switch. Everyone can't assimilate, everyone can't. So a lot of people don't feel comfortable in a room full of people who don't look like them. It just, and that is history's fault, right? Like that is capitalism's fault, is patriarchy's fault, is white supremacy's fault, that one Black person can't be in a room with white people and not feel anxiety, like we didn't make that. But the fact of the matter is that there are some of us who have had to teach ourselves how to navigate in those spaces, because we know in order to be able to break ground for our people, we got to be brave enough to do that. Right. I don't want to more times than not, I'm in a room full of mostly white women, middle-aged white women, because that's our audience, right? That's ATK's audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just part of my world. So I have to learn how to navigate that space and know that I could be confronted with microaggressions, knowing that there's some people in that room who would smile at me and hug me and vote for Donald motherfucking Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that, you know what I'm saying? And let me just make this disclaimer. My political beliefs are not those of the people who host this show. Just so you know.
We're on the right track.
I just like to let people know my beliefs are my own, and we're not a monolith. That's basically it. However, like I know I have to navigate those spaces so that other people can come and occupy that space, or at the very least, someone can see me doing it and be like, okay, I could rock that shit too. No problem, so, again, I just like to be with my own people.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
I've lived in the suburbs of Kansas City since 8th grade. And sometimes it's nice to go up to Skateland that are not in the suburbs and just be. Just be.
I need to be 6 Mile and San Juan in Detroit, and I need to also know how to be Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Like, like you gotta just know how to navigate all the spaces. I think that's a blessing, to be able to do that.
I think Detroit kind of did that, though. I mean, I lived in Lathrop Village. Mm-hmm. In the middle of Springfield. I went to Southfield Lathrop for only my senior year. And then I went out to OCC for culinary school. Mm-hmm. So Detroit was just like, I gravitated more to downtown and trying to get into the Whitney and the retail. And that's where I was working. I had 3 jobs. I was working, I was, a little pastry cook at Baker's Loaf out in Southfield. Right.
Yes.
And then I would get off work and then I would head downtown. Why? Because I needed that.
You needed it.
That comfort.
Yep.
And I know Shanita gets tired of me saying this, I cannot wait to get out of the United States. Take my brown butt back to the islands.
Listen, Erica, let me tell you something.
Like living in an all black country.
All black
Yes,
country.
there are issues. There are all these other little things, but guess what? I would rather live through that than go through what I'm going through here.
Yeah.
People keep saying, "Oh, the convenience of living in the United States." I was talking to a lady from the St. Thomas today. She had a little hot dog stand. I went and got me a hot dog, right? Went and got me a hot dog. I said, "Mama, where you from?" And she go, "Oh, I'm from St. Thomas." I said, "Oh, well, I used to live in Tortola." And she go, "I got family over there." We were going back and forth or whatever. And I said, "In the name of Jesus, I cannot wait to get my butt back on an island where there's people, brown people. And everybody has a different accent. You can talk to my mom. My mom and sister lived in St. Thomas for months, for years, right? And they loved it until it was time to go.
Yeah.
But it's just a different feel. It's like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
Those weighted blankets.
Yes.
That's what that is.
It's true. I went to Barbados with Carla Hall for Food, Wine, and Rum and fell in love with that place. I literally cried like ugly tears in the shower that was the first time I'd ever seen Black people on money when I went to Barbados.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, I need to move it. To this day, I'm still like planning on opening up a B&B in Barbados. That's my retirement.
You'll be in Barbados, I'll be in Grenada.
And I will be there in Grenada on my vacations from Barbados. Hello.
My big sister's from Barbados, and people gave her, she was like a foreign exchange student. That's how we met. And, so people give her crap all the time because she kept her dual citizenship. She was like, I'm here, but I'm not from here. I'm going home.
I'm trying to get citizenship in Barbados. If there's anyone out there listening who's of Bayesian.
So I found out with St. Kitts, right? So if you start a business in St. Kitts, you're automatic there because they want new businesses in St. Kitts. You automatically get citizenship. I am working my brain. There are so many different little things in my head, but it's gonna be a good retirement.
Yeah, it is. Let me get rid of some of this student loan debt, and I'm out
come
of
on,
here.
Uncle Joe.
Yeah, come on, Uncle Joe. We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you.
Okay, last question of the night.
Okay.
What would Chef Elle today go back and tell the young Chef Elle who's starting her career?
So Elle now would tell young Elle, don't be afraid or intimidated to express your true self on a plate. Don't assimilate to fit in this industry. Stay true to your food, to your heritage, and to your style. Like heavily, like lean in, like I don't think I never fully assimilated, but I never felt that the kind of food that I wanted to cook would be well received. I mean, history shows, like people love to eat it, but they don't ever want to give it its due, dues, if you will.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think I was never ashamed of it, but I think I would just tell her, like, lean in, be outside the box. Get comfortable outside of the box, because that's where you're going to be for the rest of your career.
But you know what? Outside of the box, I think I always bring this up, but Keith Rhodes said this when we talked to him last season. He's like, sometimes you have to be the person out in the woods.
Yeah.
The path, so that the next people come in and they might put concrete on the path that you blaze, so that
it's hard though. It's a lonely place.
It's a lonely place.
It's very isolating, and it's hard. But if I could go back and tell her how easier it gets as time goes on, I would definitely tell her that.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for having a conversation with us.
Thanks for having me,
Great.
y'all.
We could probably have talked for like 2 more hours because there's just so much stuff and all the things.
I just need to like wish Culinary Wonders USA a happy birthday. Today was the day that I started. It was April 1st. And I just want to say happy birthday. It kind of evolved into Minority Chef Summit. I know one day within the next year and a half, I'll probably have another one.
We're all going to be vaccinated.
I hope so. I've been trying to make it to one forever. Chef Erica, Chef Shanita, if there's ever anything you need me to do, MC, host, panel, anything, you let me know. Just email me. Just let me know. I'm here for y'all.
We love you with all our hearts.
I love y'all too so much.
Thank you for being the beast that you are.
Thank you for leading the way for us, Erica. That's all you right there, girl. That's you. That's you. Yes. She knows it. She's so humble. I love it.
I know. She hates it.
I just love our people. And I have to say thank you to Ebony Magazine for that, because they put me in a room with all of us. So then I can say, oh my God, I need that urge again. Every time I walk in a room and it's nothing but us, it makes my heart just beat.
You know what I have to say? This is something that you better not cry. I have to thank Chef Steve Zimmerman for coming to my parents' restaurant at the Lake of the Ozarks and eating sweet potato pie and convincing me to change my apprenticeship from where I was working. He's like, I have a Black pastry chef and you would love her. And I want you to come down here and work with her. That's when I was like 17 years old. So here we are all these years later. And Chef Steve is the one who forced me to connect with
Chef Steve.
He gave
me my first baby. I consider her my baby. You know? I was 28. And I had left Detroit and went down to the Ozarks. And she walked into that girl. The Ozarks, girl. The Ozarks.
I watched the show on HBO. I watched the whole season during the pandemic. So I have a whole idea in the back of my mind about the Ozarks. But that's a whole nother episode. We got to pencil me in for season 3 because I want to talk more. Yeah,
but we'll be in our RV driving around the country
universe.
So we will be pulling up and saying we're cooking out of this RV with you, seeing you face to face, living life. Our 3rd season, that's what we're going to be doing.
I can't wait.
We're putting it out there.
Well,
thank you guys for tuning in with us on Thursday, not Wednesday this week, but we will be back.
I like this Thursday night.
I do too. We'll be back next Wednesday. 6:30 Central on Facebook and YouTube Live. Thank you guys.
Bye, everybody.